Yes, Gabor, please.
All right. I'd like to talk a bit at the beginning about the IDN, what it is, how it's built up, and also show you my example, what I do at IDN, just to give you a few practical examples how you could participate at IDN as well. Maybe you will have a few concrete examples in front of you, and then this will help you to decide what you want to do at IDN later on. Starting with IDN, as you can see, and you will see in the next slide as well, IDN is not a traditional organization with departments and managers. It is a network of volunteers who coordinate their work through sociocratic structures and shared responsibilities. And you will hear about sociocracy later on. I just wanted to mention that IDN is really not a traditional organization. The mission of IDN is to provide a space and structure for collaboration. That's important, and how degrowth organizations all around the world can strategize together for the degrowth transformation. That's the mission of IDN. And as you can see, the IDN wants to connect people and organizations across the global network, the global degrowth movement. Also, what IDN wants to do is to support learning and collaborations, providing a network infrastructure, so to say. And third one, what we have exactly today, creating spaces where ideas can evolve into practice. So this is a space here, what we created for you, and then hopefully you can hear great ideas and then can move on based on those ideas. It's important to mention that IDN is volunteer-driven. It's currently fully volunteer-driven. It's international and a very diverse community, of which I'm astonished in my everyday life. And it's organized through circles. And I'm going to talk about these circles on the next slide. So what are circles? So normally, when you join IDN, you don't join the entire organization at once. That wouldn't make sense, right? So usually people start by participating in one circle whose purpose matches their interest. And then maybe later on, the very same person joins another circle and leaves the previous one, or he or she can be member of the same, at the same time, of two different circles as well. So what you can see here in the middle, we have the general circle with purple. This is the responsible for overall coordination and the strategic directions for IDN. This is not a unique circle, but all other circles send representatives to this general circle. So if you are a member of a circle, and if you coordinate that circle, you automatically will be member of the general circle, where you will meet members of other circles. So that's why it's a coordinator role. So on the left side, you can see the green circles. These are thematic operational circles. For example, communications, transformative learning, events, practice, how degrowth can work in practice, and so on. So these circles are grouped by different domains, and people joining these circles do this because they are interested in that particular domain. On the other hand, on the right side, you can see the red color circles. These are the territorial circles based on continents, Latin America, Asia, etc. So people join here in order to network with others who live on the very same area, very same region, so they can collaborate better within that continent. And then on the top, you can see the blue circles. These are the so-called organizing circles, or organizing circle itself. And these circles are responsible for a seamless functioning of IDN itself. So this circle is not about doing an extra work for degrowth, but making sure that IDN is working properly. It's important, as you can read here, that all circles have clear purposes and have autonomy. They can do whatever they think is useful within their domain alone. So there is no other permission needed. The coordinator, as I mentioned, is connected to the general circle. So the information flow is useful and is stable. And also, circles can have representatives who connect other circles to other circles as well. And then the following principles is the sociocracy. As I mentioned, Anna is going to talk about that. Okay, now you have seen what is IDN, how it's built up. I just would like to very quickly show you my example, how I started with IDN and what I did over these couple of years at IDN. So maybe it gives you some inspiration for your own participation. So the time I joined IDN was at the Zagreb conference almost 3 years ago. And then I participated immediately. I became involved in the preparation of the Transformative Learning Circle that was born at Zagreb in 2023. And today, I'm not coordinating that circle anymore. I used to coordinate it for more than a year, but I stepped back to give the coordinator role to someone else who is very enthusiastic. But now I'm a secretary of the general circle. So I'm the representative who goes to the general circle from my own circle. So this is possible. You can be a member of different circles at the same time if you want to. And at the same time, I also contribute to the degrowth policy circle. I'm investigating things. I'm talking to policy groups and try to find out what we could do at the policy circle at IDN. And honestly, I came out of the agile business and organizational development world at the corporate level. So seeing a large international volunteer network coordinate itself through sociocratic principles was very fascinating for me. So really, I learned sociocracy at IDN, and it was fascinating for me to learn. And just to close off my part, you have seen my story, but I also want to give you a few concrete examples what I learned, and maybe this will raise your motivation level, and then you will find something in it that would be useful for you as well. So I started as a coordinator. It was very interesting to coordinate these collaborations between circles. I was able to facilitate discussions. I shaped learning activities and created some websites for IDN. I discovered lots of ideas that influenced my PhD research as well. And being part of the Degrowth book club at IDN, I had to force myself to read more on a regular cadence as well. The good news is that you can contribute a few hours per month or several hours per week. It really depends on your motivation. It depends on your availability. But there is room for many different skills. That's the good news. And just to close with this sentence, with the last sentence, what keeps me involved is the feeling that my time and energy contribute to something meaningful at IDN. So that's what keeps me involved and motivated. So I really wish that you will find your way as well at IDN, and I hope that I was able to provide you just a couple of food for thought for that. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Gabor. And before we pass on to Anne, I think there were a couple of questions in the chat. having a link to the presentation, sure. And somebody asked, how do you join a particular circle? Maybe we will answer that later. I just wanted to add one thing that I think it's relevant, and this is a great image of the current state of the IDN, the circles. But Anna will probably talk a bit about this, but circles are also part of what people decide if they are there or not. People's circles appear, disappear, they get sub-circles. So this is also an interesting part to understand how not only it gives structure to the IDN, but through, in general, sociocracy allows you to transform that structure. Great. Do you want Anna to share and start your presentation?
Yeah, thanks. I'll just do a brief intro. I was part of a group that actually helped start the IDN, and was in the organizing circle for a long time, up until January, when I had some other things that I needed to tend to. But still, obviously, care so much about the IDN. And just what's interesting about my entry point is that I was also doing the Degrowth Masters out of Barcelona at the time. And I used the creation of the IDN and using sociocracy as part of my, that was my final project. So, and just what I learned through that, now actually let me put the, because I know there'll be a request. So I'm putting in the chat a link to the slides, and then I'm gonna share. That work? You see my slides? Okay. So what I learned through that was that, well, I guess part of that process, we didn't start, like there was a whole year-long project before the IDN started with a bunch of people. There had been a desire for a network that was discussed through many of the assemblies that were happening annually, a desire for a degrowth network. And so we didn't start with knowing that sociocracy was going to be the governing structure. That evolved in that year-long project to create the IDN. And in that process, one of the things that I took away was that there's a strong overlap in the values that are held by degrowth and the values that are held by sociocracy. And so this represents some of those. You know, degrowth is very much values autonomy, localization, people participating actively in their society and creating the economy and being inclusive. And I think even, so, you know, part of the definition of degrowth is this democratically planned reduction in resource use. And I think in the degrowth movement, and even in the, mostly in the movement, but just in general, we're not, we don't pay as much attention to that degrowth, to the democratically planned aspect of it. And it's hard to like sort of envision what that even looks like for a lot of us. And so this was like, you know, when I saw that this was like, there was overlap with sociocracy, I got really excited. And so the IDN was created as a way for not just to network people, but also to be a prefigurative space to practice like planning and sharing of resources. And so that could be a place where we figure out how that works. And so we can bring what we learn out into the world.
You're muted, Anna.
I haven't been muted the whole time, have I?
No, don't worry. Just since you showed the slide.
Is it start here? I don't know what happened. Maybe I just, yeah, as I was, okay. So sociocracy has three main components. The first is the consent-based decision-making. That is very similar to consensus, if you're familiar with that. And I'll talk more about what the difference is and what that looks like. Make sure I don't mute myself. Okay. The other aspect is that power is distributed through circles. So you just saw an example of that. So circles are teams, and they they get assigned a domain, and then they get to make that decisions within that domain. So they're what we say are semi-autonomous. So they're connected and responsible to other circles in the network or organization, but they do have power and get to make decisions. Sociocracy literally translates to those who associate together, govern, or those who work together, govern together, is how we think of it. The third main component is sociocracy was heavily influenced by cybernetics and this idea of feedback loops. And so it has this sort of natural bias toward experimenting and measuring the outcomes of that, change in policy or whatever that decision was. And it sets up lots of feedback loops to make sure that it's sort of continuing to evolve. It also has, I think sociocracy in general tries to balance lots of different things, but one of the main things it tries to balance is this idea of efficient decision making, which we experience or we think of, top down, one person making the decision, that's really quick, with inclusive decision making, which has carries a wide range of voices, and it just tries to include anybody who's sort of affected by a decision can help make that decision, which is great and also takes longer. So we try to balance those two things. Another aspect of sociocracy is this idea that of being geared by the aim, either the aim of the circle or the aim of the organization. Sociocracy is very process heavy, and but it doesn't. It understands that process is always in service to what the organization is trying to do. It's not process for process sake. We're always trying to point to what our aim is. And as mentioned, the aim is also decided by the circle. And then it has a lot of different practices. Won't go into most of these, but just it is a framework that kind of answers lots of questions. Or, well, how do we do this? How do we ensure that everyone is heard and be efficient? And so it has these different, using rounds and meetings and having regular reviews and co-creating proposals together that help maintain the three values, all the values that sociocracy has. Okay, so circles have four, that's the main component. They have four main characteristics. One, they have an aim, which just answers the question, what are you trying to do? Why does it exist? Why does the circle exist? Second is it has a domain. So this is the area of authority that it gets to make decisions around. The aim and the domain are closely tied together because you can't have, you need to be able to make decisions over the thing you have control over in relation to how do you get your work done. So an example for this is if you have a circle and its aim is to spread degrowth in the general public, then it would make sense to put things in its aim maybe the website. It gets to make decisions on the newsletter, social media. It gets to make decisions in those domains because that's in service to its aim. You're not going to put something like the budget in that particular circle. It also consents to its own membership. So membership in a circle is intentional because you have power there. It's not for people. I think in the idea, and in most sociocratic organizations, they're open. Circles are open to observation because transparency is a strong value, but it's really intentional about who gets to decide to be part of that decision-making process. And then it also has roles. And roles are something that are who gets to be in which role and what that role is responsible for is decided collectively. But then whoever is selected to that role gets to go and do work independently. And so that, again, is that balance of, making decisions together, but also not slowing down work. And then, of course, the person in that role is then accountable to the circle and reports back on how things are going. So membership in a circle, again, it comes with it a level of responsibility because you have this sort of power. So things that, we kind of attribute to leaders, responsibilities that we often attribute to leaders are held collectively by the circle around making decisions, providing feedback to other members, supporting each other, and just having the care for the circle's work and being invested in the circle's work. So just like lots of people working on a project, we might have different roles we play, but we all are, sort of working together collaboratively. So this is mostly a review of what Gabor just said around how circles are connected. This demonstrates usually when an organization is new, how it starts. So in the general circle, maybe you just start with a small group of people and it holds all the aims and domains of the organization. And then as it grows, it will create like maybe department circles or more circles, sub-circles, and it will select these like little circles are the coordinator and the representative to show that they're members of the department circle and the general circle. So this is, some people call this like, I think in other models, it's like the inner and the outer circles or the wider, I forget what we use in the IDN because people have different names, but it's usually like the parent and the child circle or the parent and the sub-circle. And the point here is that any circle kind of can expand and create its own mini circles or sub-circles as you get bigger, as maybe more people join. And so these are not, as was stated earlier, a parent circle might say, okay, we need a circle, we're getting bigger, we're communications, let's just split off and you do website, you do the newsletter, you do social media. And maybe, or just one at a time, or however it wants to, it's a very flexible model. And then it kind of gives its aim, right? But then as the circle evolves, maybe it says, okay, we actually, crazy example, we don't need a website anymore, or we want 2 websites, or we're going to shift. It has the power to do that, but because it has these 2 members, it's always going to get report back, make sure that's okay with the parent circle. So this is how circles in general are like connected to the whole. I know this is pretty quick because this is a super brief introduction, but we're going to head back to consent and how that looks different than consensus, which I assume there's some familiarity with. So when you have a proposal on the table, one possible reaction could be, if you love it, you say, oh, I love this. It helps us achieve our aim. So again, focusing again on what is the circle's work, not necessarily your personal preference. So everyone might think that, and that's great. Proposal passes, right? But there's also like this other option that is an important concept in sociocracy, which we call the range of tolerance. So this might be where, you're not necessarily enthusiastic about a proposal. You have maybe concerns about it, but you're willing to try it out. You're tolerant of it. And so unlike consensus, it doesn't require everyone to agree. It just requires everyone not to disagree, basically, or have a problem with the proposal. Of course, that is still an option because we don't want to silence those objecting voices. So that people can still object. Again, we want them to object based on how it affects the aim of the circle or how it's in line. So in sociocracy, if you love it or you can tolerate it, you consent. Sorry, I can maybe address the thing about mob rule. I just saw that. But if it isn't within your range of tolerance, totally fine. That's actually, as we'll see, a gift, and that's an objection. So that's sort of the framework for consent. If you do object, it's not seen, or we, as part of the adopting this model, we encourage people not to see objections as like blocking or seeing or that person's being difficult or whatever it is. It's this is an opportunity for us to see something that wasn't apparent before, right? So if someone objects, they're providing the circle with important information that helps the circle move forward and be, consider more things. Like that's why we have collaborative decision making, right? It's because more people, more brains in the room help us come up with something better. And so because of that, we see these objections as gifts. And now we're going to demonstrate that and practice that. We're going to set up a demo and I will facilitate, and we'll ask for some volunteers. And I'll just introduce this, and then I'm going to introduce how this works, and then we're going to demonstrate it. So in sociocracy, when you have a proposal come in, you are going to, first of all, when we have a meeting, we always go in round, so everyone's included. And then there's a very clear goal for different types of rounds. And that's important in sociocracy to, just to be more efficient. So we're not all over the place, and we're not deciding on a proposal that people don't understand, for example, or haven't had a chance to give feedback on. And so it is, there's some wiggle room depending on the circle or the facilitation style, but we try to keep it tight to keep that level of efficiency. So first we're going to do a question round. The goal is to make sure everyone understands the proposal. Then we do a feedback round. People get to give feedback. And then then when those two rounds are complete, we ask for consent. So this is what it looks like. If we get to the consent or the decide phase and there's objection, we kind of go through the same idea, right? Where we treat the objection again as important information. We try to understand it. We explore what we can do in reactions in relation to the objection, and then we create a new proposal. And as you'll see, there's different ways that we can, again, we'll demonstrate this. There's different ways to amend the proposal or to we call it integrating the objection. So it doesn't, the goal is like, when someone objects, it's not like that's done and now the proposal is dead. It's like, okay, how do we collaboratively work together to have all the concerns addressed that rise to that level of objection? Okay, so we're going to demonstrate this. Gabor and Sebastian are going to be part of this circle. And then if we could have like 1 or 2 volunteers that would like to try this out, you will be guided by myself. So it's not a lot of pressure.
If anybody wants to volunteer, raise your hand and we will pick the first.
And I will address the question of shorten the term after the demo.
Yeah, there were several good questions there that we will be addressing afterwards. Looks like either everybody's feeling very shy or okay. Otherwise, we just do it, the 3 of us. Brian would like to participate.
Okay. And let's see, Brian. Okay, and I'm going to pin Brian. Oh, I don't see him. Oh, okay. It's done.
Okay, now we have Brian and Joao also offered.
Okay.
Good. I think we're
Can someone
good with
pin
that.
Joao? So I can see him. Oh, I see you now. All right. Come to stage. Okay. Okay. This is getting used to this platform. Okay. So we are the organizing circle. Our aim is to, Sebastian, what's our aim? Of the organizing circle, you got it memorized?
Oh, what our proposal is, or what?
No, what the aim is of the circle.
Well, not by heart, but like to support in general the IDN with everything that is organizative, so that it doesn't need to be decided in the general circle and it can be a bit more, let's say, efficient or effective.
Thanks, Sebastian. I put you on the spot. So what we're modeling is actually the organizing circle of the IDN, and that was the aim, as Sebastian just stated. And so we're going to pretend we're in the middle of a meeting. The next agenda item is a proposal brought by Gabor, right? Didn't make mine.
Yes.
Yes.
It came
Would
from
you
me.
like to state the proposal and introduce it?
Yeah. Then yeah, I can start with some background information. You may remember that we've run a survey in the circle with our members, and one of the findings was that most of them would like to just network freely, but they unfortunately don't have the opportunity to do so. All circles have monthly meetings, but those are about operational activities. We have dedicated rooms in Element, and some circles even have group chats in Signal, but those are rather async, and people want to talk to each other real time. So my proposal is that we do a long series of online networking sessions for IDM members. And then we could stuff it through rotating facilitation from the event circle. And we could do it on a monthly basis, and my suggestion is that we start it next month. So that this is my proposal.
Okay, long series. I just want to get the proposal piece. Long series of what did you call them?
Of networking sessions for IDM members.
Okay. Long series of networking sessions for IDN members with rotating facilitation starting next month. I got that?
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll go around, and what we're first going to do is see if anyone has any clarifying questions to make sure that they understand the proposal. And Sebastian, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I have a question. Will this be just for members really for members that are active and are already in Matrix, or will we also make this public so that anybody who is interested can take part?
You can answer that, Gabor. Seems quicker.
Okay, thank you. My first thought was, why wouldn't we open it to the general public who are interested? So yes, I would do it more in a more informal way with a larger audience.
Any other questions, Sebastian?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Joao, do you have any clarifying questions?
Yeah, thank you for the idea. I think it's a good idea. We are here to connect, so yeah, that makes sense. To try to experiment and improve. So my question is, would that be circle related? So if I am in Asia circle or in the website circle, I want to improve the website. Are these meetings going to be specifically for Asia circle every month, or website circle every month, or are you proposing something global like that we do a general session and that we will talk about whatever people want to talk about?
Go ahead.
Okay, if I can answer it now, I would start with the general session. That's why I mentioned that the regular circles have their own recurring meetings. So maybe we could open it up to the general level to have some cross-pollination across circles as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I don't have any questions. Brian, yeah, Brian, now it's your turn. Thanks.
I had a question. How would you advertise this or promote, so that everybody understood what the circle, when it was going to occur and what the topics were going to be? Or are there predefined topics, or is it just every month we're going to, and then people can introduce whatever topics they like? Or how is that going to work?
Honestly, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just very enthusiastic to bring this idea. Maybe this is something we can find out during this meeting. Yeah, sorry for that.
Yeah, maybe we'll see if it's if it can go ahead. So I'll go. Yeah, maybe this would have done better with a proposal co-creation process, so we could get on the same page. But let's go ahead and see if we can reach consent right now. Any other questions before we go to reactions? Okay, so quick reactions. Gabor, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, the thing that Brian asked is definitely something to figure out first, I believe, because that's a crucial part. But I have no answer for that at the moment.
Okay.
Only that.
Okay. Sebastian and then Joao.
Like a quick reaction.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
quick reaction.
I'm good. On a more meta level, I don't know if we have time to go through the exercise completely within the hour for this meeting. So just that quick reaction. Otherwise, all good with Gabor's proposal.
Okay, let's give it like 2 more minutes. Okay, give it 2 more minutes, see what we can get through. Joao, do you have any reactions?
Yeah, I'm gonna play a little bit in to try to raise some barriers or something. So not because I'm pretending, but also, I mean, let me just share. So I think it's a good idea, although I think there is an expectation from what I have seen in many of the meetings that I have been, either circle, either general meetings, assemblies, and everything. People come to the IDN to meet other people, yes, but they also come to either to learn or to know about the topic or to work together. But they expect some kind of structure. And so when we do completely unstructured meetings, if I understood which I think are amazing for just connecting people, I don't know if we are going to meet the expectations and the needs of the participants. So I would propose that we would look a little bit deeper into that, so that maybe we would, if this would be a regular meeting, we would meet again in some period, and then we would decide with a little bit more. Thank you.
Okay, it sounds like maybe you might object when we get to this consent, but let's finish this round, and then we'll see if we have objections. Maybe we'll deal with them later. It seems like maybe this would have benefited from. I'm taking my turn. Would have been benefited from some more forethought and time on the agenda, but that's fine. I think it's a good idea, and I'm glad you've brought it forward. And I'm happy to see if maybe this is just the first step, and then if we consent, the next step would be to get people to sort of organize this. That's it. Check. I'm done. Brian, anything to add? Any feedback to add?
I think that this is exactly the kind of thing. If there are people who want to participate, if we can define and advertise whatever the purpose is for the meetings, this is why people are here, of course, to learn and to share and to discuss and plan. So, Gabor, this is exactly what the purpose of the group is. So just a little bit more. How do we get participation and not to start another meeting for the sake of, wouldn't it be nice? How can we actually derive a benefit from the effort. So wonderful. I wholeheartedly support the idea of this beginning this kind of general purpose sort of discussion meeting where people can interact and share ideas and get feedback and so on. I think it'd be very useful.
Thanks. I'm gonna move this to consent and see, and people can object, and then if we're object, we'll just deal with that the next meeting. So again, the proposal is create a long series of network sessions for IDN members with rotating facilitation starting next month. If you can, actually, I'll just go. Gabor, do you consent?
Actually, after hearing these concerns, I object for now.
Okay. All right. And now, wow, let me go through. Sebastian, consent or object?
Consent.
Okay. Joao, consent or object?
Yeah, also, I would consent, yeah. Actually, by hearing everyone, yeah.
Okay. I'll consent. Brian, consent or object?
Consent.
Okay.
So assuming that we settle the doubts or the concerns that Gabor has, then that's exactly what we need to do. Settle those doubts and then absolutely I consent.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. We're going to pause the demo here. What would happen next is we would hear the objection and then try to understand it and then integrate it. And somebody asked a question about shortening the term, what that means. And so that's one way to integrate the objection is just to say, well, do you think this is safe? Like we use this phrase, good enough for now, safe enough to try. And so is it like, can we just try it out for like a couple of months and see how it goes? See if like what your concerns are. Maybe your concern is, oh, no one's going to show up to that. And we're going to put all these resources for a year. And so, well, wait a minute, why don't we just try it for 3 months and see what happens? Or even just do it once and then come back. So that would be shortening the term. And that's because every proposal already has like a review date built into it and should have one. And sometimes those are like 3 years, right? Like let's, revise this much further down the road. But we do want to build that in because of that feedback loop that was. Again, this is a very super quick intro to sociocracy, but we're done.
Thanks a lot. I will stop recording.